Hey everyone, Admiral Seabass here. Welcome back to my war room in the great state of Indiana for Operation Varation Turn 3 for Soviet Far East Command. All right, big turn this turn. So let's do tech first. These are all going to require 8s or higher. We're going for PGMs. We're going for Advanced Logistics Stage 4. We are going for Chem. Warfare Doctrine, we're going to get that to Stage 3, and then Advanced Manufacturing and Advanced Airborne, also trying to get those to Stage 3. So let me shut the door here. All right, we're looking for 8s or higher on any of these dice. Oh wow, tech has been bad. All misses except for this one, which is Advanced Logistics. Well, that's good. That'll help my long-term Alaska strategy. So that is complete, and it'll take a couple turns for it to play out what that means. But basically, I can do a lot of heavy airlift, sea lift, and those types of things now with that complete. So that is good. All right, purchases. I had 10 IPP, and we're going all Navy again. So we're going to finish the cruiser on the build chart for 3. We're going to buy 2 frigates for a total of 4. And then for our remaining 3, we're going to buy an SSK, or a diesel electric sub. All right. And then combat. We are declaring war on U.S. Pacific Command. So I've already adjusted the chart. North Korea now aligns to us, so we went from 10 to 12. Pacific Command goes up to 27. They now get South Korea and all the traditional Pacific allies, and China goes up 1 for war being declared. Okay, so let's talk about combat moves, and we'll start you up here in the north. And yeah, that's a pretty good view. All right. A lot of moving parts here, so let's get into it. Okay, so first, we're going to have a screening force against this Pacific Command cruiser here. That screening force will consist of 1 anti-ship missile fired from the major shipyard in southern Kamchatka, which, being fired from a major shipyard, gets a +1 bonus, and it can go into that zone and be used against that cruiser. Okay, we will also have 2 frigates who are going to come out of the Soviet Pacific Fleet, and we will have the medium bomber flying off of the heavy aircraft cruiser and magically turning into a Tu-22 blinder, and they can attack ships, so they will also be flying in there. Okay, we will split our moving force. Actually, one moving force will be a cruiser and 2 destroyers that will be moving to P6, and if they get to move in here after the screening battle, they will fire 3 anti-ship missiles into P7 against that supercarrier. The other moving force will be the 2 amphibious assault ships from the Pacific Fleet. They will be going 1, 2 into P6 with 3 Marines, total of 3 Marines and an SP artillery, which will have to come ashore in round 2, going into Alaska. Again, only if that screening force is successful. Then into Alaska, we'll have 3 airborne infantry from Magadan going 1, 2, 3 into Alaska. Oh, I'm using my SpySat in Alaska as well. Yes, SpySat can now be used in regular combat. Airborne from northern Kamchatka going 1, 2, 3 into Alaska. The Air Cav from northern Kamchatka going 1, 2, 3 into Alaska. The early gen fighter on the heavy aircraft cruiser in P4 will go 1, 2, 3 into Alaska. The 2 air superiority fighters from Southern Kamchatka will go 1, 2, 3, 4 into Alaska. And then the backfire will fly to Eastern Chukia out of scramble range of any Pacific Command air units and fire 2 cruise missiles into Alaska. Okay. I think that's it. PAC will fully scramble its fighter and its 2 air superiority fighters from the supercarrier in P7. The attack bomber cannot scramble. It does not have that capability. All right. In Far Aleutian, we will have the airborne from Southern Kamchatka, 1, 2, 3 into Far Aleutian. We'll have the fighter from Northern Kamchatka, 1, 2 into Far Aleutian. And we will have a cruise missile fired from the major air base in Magadan, 1, 2, 3 into Far Aleutian. Okay, so now let's change your vantage point. Come over here to the island of Japan and its surrounding sea zones where there will be a lot of naval action. So, in P-17, where there's a South Korean destroyer, which is now aligned to Pacific Command, a Japanese frigate, and a Japanese SSK, we will have the North Korean SSK, the 2 Soviet Far East Command DDGs, and the 1 FFG come in for naval combat. In P-18, where we have a Japanese frigate, or FFG, 3 SSKs from the Soviet task group in P-29 will come up and attack that frigate. And then remaining here, we will have 2 SSNs, an SSK, and a destroyer DDG attacking the Marine fleet here in P-29, consisting of a U.S. amphibious assault ship, a fighter, which will have to retire, a frigate, and actually the fighter won't have to retire, it can hit subs. And then the cargo on the amphibious assault ship, the Marine, and the field artillery, which cannot shoot back. And then, the last, certainly not least, is down here in South Korea. Significant feature of V2 is the fact that the Koreas now respectively align, and there's going to be a lot more action in Korea now. 4 light infantry from North Korea, 2 SP artillery, 4 next-gen MBTs from North Korea, 1 main battle tank from North Korea, 1 fighter from North Korea. Oh, these SP artillery will be using chemical weapons. 1 airborne from Vladivostok. 1 attack helicopter from Vladivostok. 1 attack bomber from Vladivostok. And 1 cruise missile fired from the major airbase in, you guessed it, Vladivostok. Well, let me double check my notes here. Yep, that is it. So I'm going to get stuff progressively set up on the battle board, and we're going to start resolving combats. Okay, so this is the moving force, or the screening force battle. Really important one. And looking for my damage markers. Here they are. Cruisers now take 2 hits. So we've got a Soviet anti-ship missile, 2 frigates, and a medium bomber against a single Pacific Command cruiser. All right, so let's roll first strike. The cruiser could go anti-missile defense, but that would be at a 4 instead of a 6, so he's going to stay with a 6. So let's go first strike Soviet anti-ship missile. That's a hit. That's excellent. So that's 1 damage to the cruiser. That was huge. Okay. Now, the frigates and the attack bomber, or the medium bomber. All right, so the medium bomber got a hit with a 3, so that does finish the cruiser off, but it gets to shoot back at a 6 or less. That's a 4, that is a hit, and the Soviets will take a frigate as a casualty. So, excellent. I'll show you what that means. So what that means is these Marines definitely come ashore here into the Alaska attack. The SB artillery will have to wait and come ashore round 2. And this cruiser and 2 destroyers definitely get to fire their anti-ship missile at the supercarrier. All right, so let's keep resolving some combats. Okay, so this is the 3 anti-ship missiles against the supercarrier. There is no defense, so it's 3 shots at 5. And there's 1 hit. So that'll be 1 damage on the supercarrier. Not quite as good as we wanted to do, but we'll take it. Okay, so there's the 1 damage on the supercarrier. And now let's do Far Aleutian. Okay. Here's the battle for Far Aleutian. So it's not mountain, so the really critical role here again is the cruise missile. First strike at a 5. Let's see what we can get. That's an 8, so that's a miss. All right. Now the fighter will be the pink. All right, so the fighter got a hit, and now here's the big one. The paramilitary gets to roll back at a 2. That's a miss. Woo! Okay. So let me show you the impact of that. Okay, so Far Aleutian is now possessed by Soviet Far East Command, and that'll give them a wartime bonus. Okay, let's do the really big one, the Battle for Alaska. Okay, here we go. This is going to be exciting. See these 2 things here. 1, new feature of V2, the SR-71. Can essentially scramble 5. It was in Pacific Northwest. It's now being used. And all land units will get a +1 in combat. So they all get bumped up 1. Okay, then we also have the SpySat, which can now be used in regular combat. And that gives the cruise missiles target select. And I'm going to use Chem with my artillery if it makes it ashore. All right. This could be... U.S. might have done enough to at least make this interesting. So, we'll see. All right, so first strike. We're going to have 2 Soviet cruise missiles coming in at 5 or less. First strike. And there's 1 hit. And that's a target select. And it's not a 1, so I can't target select the next gen MBT, but I can target select one of the light infantry, which I will do. Why didn't I target select the SPAG? Because it's going to get a fire anyway. And so PAC's going to use that as its first casualty anyway. Speaking of the SPAG, let's fire it 3 shots at 2 or less. And there's 1 hit. So we will take the early gen fighter as that casualty. Okay, so now the Soviets are into regular combat. So we roll the 2 air superiority fighters first at 5 or less. Miss, miss. Since it's mountain, my airborne and my Marines are all attacking at 2. So just grab all the dice I can here. And we're looking for 2s. There's 1 hit. 1 general hit. Here we go. Now, the air cav is attacking at 4 or less. And there's another general hit. Okay. So, good practice is to go ahead and take casualties now. That's what the rulebook calls you to do. So, Pack will take, for one casualty, the Spag, and for another casualty, a light infantry. Okay, but that light infantry still gets to shoot back. The Spag has already shot. All right. So, let's do the air superiority combat first. So the green dice will be the air superiority fighters at 7 or less, and the black dice will be the fighter at a 6 or less. Okay, so that's 2 air superiority hits. All right, so 2 air superiority hits. Now, let's do the 2 light infantry at 5 and the next gen MBT at a 7. All right, well, the next gen MBT did get a target select, but the 2 light infantry missed. So the target select will be against the... one of the Marines. Okay. Now, FEC still has to take 2 air hits. We'll clear that off. They'll take the air cav, and they'll take one of the air superiority fighters. Okay. So now round 2. The artillery comes ashore. It'll be at a 2 because of the mountains. Still have an air superiority fighter. This fighter comes over here, and the land units go down, back down to their normal value. Okay. All right, let's keep going. So, let's roll the artillery first. So that'll be 2 at 2. There's 1 hit, so that's Chem Disruption. So that will move these down 1. Okay. Now let's roll 4 airborne. Actually, I realized I shorted a roll last turn for Pack for a Marine, so that'll be the Marine from last turn. That's a miss anyway. So now I've got 6 at 2. And there's 1 general hit. And then I've got the air superiority fighter at a 5. And that's an air superiority hit. All right, let's pay our taxes, as Tabletop Tactician likes to say. Oh, yeah, the SR-71. I'm going to just go ahead and put that back in Pacific Northwest. Okay, so 1 air superiority hit. Packy is going to take that on an air superiority fighter. And then for the general hit, I think they'll also take that on the air superiority fighter since it's, well, it might not have to retire. So, conundrum. Yeah, they'll just take it on the air superiority fighter for simplicity. So that's cleared. All right. Oh, that air superiority fighter still gets to shoot, though. So let me go ahead and roll it first at a 7. That's a hit, so that will definitely be the Soviet air superiority fighter. Now, the light infantry at 3 misses. The next gen MBT at 5 misses. And the fighter at a 6 gets a hit, and that's a land target select, and they will take the artillery with that. Okay, so Round 3. All right. So, Soviets have 6 dice at 2 or less. And there's 1 hit, so the pack will take the light infantry. Light infantry at 3, misses. Next gen MBT at 5, misses. Fighter at 6, misses. Ouch. All right, we go again. 6 at 2 for Soviets. 1 more hit. US will take the next gen MBT. That next gen MBT shoots at a 5, misses. US fighter shoots at a 6 and hits, gets a target select, and we'll take a Marine. Okay. So let's roll them all at the same time. The pink will be the Soviets, the green will be the US. US gets a hit, the Soviets do not. Soviets will take an airborne. So I'll take a pink dice away, and we'll roll again. US gets another hit. We'll go again. We kind of have to. I mean, we can't retreat, so. All misses. There it is. Soviets got a hit with a 1. The US missed. So that was closer than I thought it would be. So I'll show you the impact. All right. So Alaska is taken with a Marine and 2 airborne. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's do this battle right here in P-18. Okay. Soviets have 3 SSKs, first striking. Japanese have a destroyer defending, so that'll bump one of the SSKs down to non-first strike. So, Soviets still get 2 at 3 first strike. There's a 3, so this battle is over. All right, so without taking a casualty, Soviets have cleared the Japanese destroyer. Okay, let's go do this battle between the Soviet, North Korean, South Korean, and Japanese navies. Okay, so both sides have a destroyer, so both subs get knocked down from first strike to regular, so it's pretty much just a straight up fight. All right, so for the Soviets, the 2 destroyers and the SSK, no hits, and the frigate at a 2, that's a hit. So Pack will take that on the Japanese frigate. And then here's the South Korean destroyer, misses. Japanese SSK hits. Soviets will take the destroyer, or the frigate, sorry. And then the Japanese frigate misses. All right, we'll keep going. 2 destroyers and an SSK for the Soviets. Oh, wow, there's 2 hits. Okay, so that'll do them both in. Now, and that's already dead. And then, did I fire that frigate in the last round? Not sure if I did. Yeah, oh well, who cares? All right, the DDG will be green for Pack. There's a hit. So the Soviets will take the North Korean SSK. And this battle is over. So as a result of that, Soviets now have 2 destroyers in P-17. Okay, so last but not least, let's do the battle for South Korea. Okay, here we are again. Because of the mountains, the Soviet light infantry, the airborne, the main battle tank, and the next gens will all bump down 1. All right, so first strike, Soviets are using Kim with 2 SP artillery, so they'll get 4 dice at 2 or less due to the mountains. Those all miss. And that mountains mattered there because that was a 3. And then they've got a cruise missile at a 5. That also misses. Not a great start. Not a great start. Alright, so we'll do air superiority. Soviet fighter at a 6. That's a hit. So that's 1 air hit. That'll take out the South Korean fighter. And then 4 at 1 for the light infantry and 1 at 2 for the airborne. There's 1 general hit. One at 3 and 4 at 5 for the main battle tanks and next gen main battle tanks. Oh my goodness. There is 2 hits. They're both land target select hits. And you know what? Shoot, I forgot to roll the Korean artillery. All right, let's roll that right now. So that'll be at a 3 or less first strike. Oh good, it missed. Good, because I don't have to put Humpty back together again in this battle. And then attack helo will be the purple dice, and the green dice will be the attack bomber. There's another land target select and another general hit. So, okay. So for the land target selects, I will target select the light infantry. Why would you do that, Chris? Well, because since all artillery class units retire now, he would want to take that hit since it can't shoot in round 2. So those land target selects smoked something that he otherwise wouldn't want to take. All right, so for the air hit, the fighter is gone. And for the 2 general hits, these other 2 are also gone. However, I'm getting ahead of myself here because these all get to shoot back. Yeah, but South Korea is wiped out in 1 round, which is good. So I'll move him behind the casualty line. All right. So the pink dice will be the light infantry. Purple dice will be the fighter, air superiority. Only 1 hit. Ouch. Okay. So we'll take the light infantry and show you what that looks like on the map. Well, first we'll show you here that PAC goes down to and Far East Command goes up to. Okay, so Soviet Far East Command takes South Korea with 3 light infantry, an MBT, 4 next-gen MBTs, 2 SP artillery, an airborne, an attack helicopter, a fighter, an attack bomber, and those air units will probably land in non-combat. Oh, and 1 more battle to do. That naval battle right there in P29. Okay, this is kind of a fun little battle here. So I've got 2 SSNs and an SSK first strike, and with no destroyers on the opposing side, there's nothing to remove that first strike, so they're all going to get a roll at first strike. And this fighter can hit subs, so as long as there's subs in combat, that fighter can engage. All right, let's roll the 2 SSNs and the SSK first strike. Okay, that's 2 first strike hits. And they cannot be taken on the air unit because subs can't hit air units. So, amphibious assault ships take 2 damage and they only shoot at 1. So I'm just going to smoke the amphibious assault ship for the 2 damage there. First strike. I love that in V2 subs get first strike. It really, really makes subs a lot more fun to play with. All right, so now here's the Soviet DDG. That misses. Okay. So the frigate will be in green and the fighter will be in pink. Both miss. All right. So these all come over here. These come over here. All right. So let's roll. See, only the DDG can hit the air unit, so this is going to get interesting. So Let's roll the SSK at 3 or less. Miss. Let's roll the 2 SSNs at 4. They both miss. And let's roll the Destroyer at a 4. Ooh, almost, but no. Okay, so once again, let's switch them up this time. This time the DDG, or the packed frigate, will be in green. Okay, so the fighter hit, so we got to take the Soviet SSK. We don't. Yeah, we have to, because that fighter cannot hit the surface ships because no PGMs. All right, do we go another round? Yeah, I think we do go another round. All right, so the 2 SSNs will be in green. Oh wow, they all missed. And again, the US frigate will be in green. Okay, the frigate got a hit and the fighter missed. So I will kill the destroyer and then we will call this off, because I did what I wanted to do, which was kill the amphibious assault ship, but I wanted to kill the other 2 also, but we'll just have to live with it. Okay, so I'll have to look this up. But the U.S. frigate definitely survived. The amphibious assault ship with its marine and its field artillery died. Okay? And then the fighter... Where's the fighter? The fighter was on the amphibious assault ship. He can land in Okinawa or Fukuoka. I think I'll land him in Okinawa. So the U.S. frigate is there. I think in V2, when you withdraw from combat, you don't use silent running as the attacker. I'll double check that, but I'm just going to leave those there. From a design standpoint, I don't really like that you can withdraw as an attacker from combat and use silent running, because then you can hide in defense. I feel like if you expose yourself to attack, then you should, or if you expose yourself to defenders when you attack them, then you should also further be exposed on their turn to attack you. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Okay, let's do non-combat movement. Not a lot to move as the Soviets. There's the attack helicopter in South Korea will land in North Korea. The attack bomber and the fighter from there will land in Vlad. A lot up here, not a lot, but some. The heavy aircraft cruiser will move up here to join the fleet. And this fighter will actually land back. Do I want to land him on the heavy aircraft cruiser or land him back here? I probably want to land him back here. No, we'll land him here. I don't think Pac can retake Alaska, so if that heavy aircraft cruiser did get smoked, I could land him in Alaska. In fact, we'll just go ahead and land the medium bomber there too, changing him out to his appropriate naval sculpt, the Yak 38. Okay, so I can move 2 of those now. I think we'll move the main battle tank up to here, to northern Kamchatka. I think everything else is good there. I'm not going to move anything over on the China frontier. So I think that's it. So let's collect income. Actually, why don't we place units first? So I'm going to put the cruiser, the 2 frigates, and the SSK are all going to be built at the major shipyard in southern Kamchatka. Okay, now let's collect some income. Okay, so our base income is 12. And then we get some bonuses now that we're at war. I just need to double check what those are. Okay, so 12 base income. Far Lucian gives us 1. That's 13. No enemy naval units in P3, P4, P8, or P9. Well, there's one in P9, but there's none anywhere else, so that gives us 3 more. I think that takes us to 16. Didn't hit any oil tankers, but I do possess Alaska. So that gets us to 19. Plus, I get global support. Oh, I maxed that out. So that's 6. So that gets us to 25. Plus, there's a new concept. There's the new Battlestar concept, which lets you spend money on facilities. So I earned some Battlestars. I won a land battle to capture an enemy land zone. That gave me 1 Battlestar. I did win a naval battle against an enemy task force because of the cruiser. So that gives me 2 more. And then I did have some air superiority kills. I think I had 2. So that gives me 2 more. So that 5 IPP right there I can spend on facilities next turn. And I'll put a chip under that to show that it's a Battlestar. And that might come in handy in starting a base or something in Alaska. So I think that's 25 or 26 IPP plus 5 IPP Battlestars to spend on facilities. Not bad for Soviet Far East Command Turn 3. Take care, everyone. Admiral Seabass out.